I did not expect to be framed by the person who runs the HOA committee. "You need to step back right now," Monica yelled, jabbing her finger at my chest. "I am authorized to enforce this, and you are trespassing in the clubhouse area." I raised both hands, trying to stay calm, but my pulse was hammering. "I did not touch the charity box. I was 10 feet away when you moved it." She tilted her head, lips pulled into a tight smile. "That is not what the report says. The box was moved, and you were the last one near it. Now items are missing, and guess what? They were found near your home. So I am revoking your guest parking and visitor access until the investigation is complete." My stomach dropped. I am in the middle of refinancing my house. Any lien or violation on my record could wreck the entire deal. I work as a systems analyst, and I had spent weeks getting my financials in order. This was not the time for an HOA witch hunt. "This is insane. I did not take anything. You can check the clubhouse camera." Monica pulled a laminated policy sheet from her bag and waved it in the air, refusing to let me see it. "The policy is clear. Theft or suspected theft results in immediate access suspension. I have messages proving everyone agrees with me." A neighbor walking past the clubhouse entrance slowed down, staring at us. Monica lowered her voice but kept the smile. "You can file an appeal if you want. The instructions are on the portal. But until then, you are barred from guest parking in the clubhouse. Have a nice day." She turned on her heel and walked toward the parking lot, her phone already out. I stood there for a moment, breathing hard. Then I pulled out my phone and opened the Redstone Meadows Homeowners Association portal. The neighborhood was a mixed-age subdivision in Seattle, Washington, with older rules that still govern newer owners like me. The HOA had always been strict, but Monica Pierce, the board president, had turned enforcement into a full-time intimidation campaign. I logged into the portal and navigated to the appeals section. The instructions were buried under 3 submenus, but I found them. I needed to submit a written appeal with supporting evidence within 72 hours. I started typing immediately, explaining that I was not near the charity box when it was moved, that I had no motive, and that the accusation was baseless. I uploaded the draft and hit submit. The confirmation message appeared. "Your appeal has been received. You will be notified of the hearing date within 5 business days." I closed the portal and called my ally, Greg Sanders, a resident who ran the community watch group and had been pushing back against Monica for months. He picked up on the second ring. "She is accusing you of what?" "Stealing from the charity box. She claims items were found near my home, so I must be guilty. She is threatening guest parking and visitor access." Greg exhaled slowly. That is her new tactic. She did the same thing to the guy in Unit 18 last month. Accused him of taking clubhouse supplies, then made him jump through hoops to prove he did not. He gave up and paid the fine. I am not paying anything. I did not do it. Good. Do not. I will pull the clubhouse access logs and see if I can find anything. Monica has been using a key control clipboard she refuses to let anyone read. If she had access to the storage area, that is going to look bad for her. Thanks. I owe you. Just do not let her gaslight you. She is counting on you folding. I hung up and sat down at my kitchen table, opening my laptop. I needed to document everything. I pulled up the timeline in my head. 3 days ago, I had walked past the clubhouse after dropping off a package at the mailbox cluster. The charity box, a small metal lockbox for cash donations, had been sitting on a folding table near the entrance. Monica had been standing nearby, talking to a vendor. I had nodded at her and kept walking. That was it. Now she was claiming I was the last one near it, and that missing items had been found near my home. I had no idea what she was talking about. I lived 2 buildings away from the clubhouse. There was no way anything had been found near my house unless someone planted it. I opened my doorbell camera app and scrolled back to the timestamp. My camera faced the street and my front porch, not the clubhouse, but it did capture my driveway and part of the sidewalk. I saved the footage from the past week to a portable thumb drive and labeled it. Then I went outside and checked my porch, my front bushes, and the area around my mailbox. Nothing. No charity box items, no stolen supplies, no evidence of anything. I took photos of every angle and saved them to the same thumb drive. The next morning, I logged back into the portal to check the status of my appeal. The page loaded slowly, and when it finally appeared, my stomach sank. Your appeal could not be found. I refreshed the page. Same message. I navigated back to the submission's history. Blank. No record of my upload. I called the management office immediately. A woman named Carla answered. Hi, this is the narrator from Unit 42. I submitted an appeal yesterday through the portal and now it is gone. Can you check your system? Hold on. Carla typed for a moment, then paused. I am not seeing anything under your account. When did you submit it? Yesterday afternoon. Around 3. More typing. Nothing here. Are you sure you hit submit? Yes. I got a confirmation message. Carla sighed. The portal has been glitchy lately. Sometimes uploads do not save. You will need to resubmit. I have a screenshot of the confirmation. That is good. Bring it in, and we will see what we can do. I drove to the management office, a small building near the entrance to Redstone Meadows. When I walked in, Carla was behind the counter. She looked tired. I showed her the screenshot on my phone. She frowned. This says it was received. Let me check the back end. She typed for a minute, then shook her head. It is not in the system. Someone must have deleted it. Or someone buried it. Carla glanced around, then lowered her voice. Monica has admin access. She uses it to bury complaints sometimes. Officially, I am not supposed to say that. Can you restore it? Not without a backup. But you can resubmit right here. I will make sure it goes through. I pulled out the thumb drive and handed it to her. This has all my evidence. Doorbell footage, photos, timeline. Carla plugged it into her computer and started uploading the files. Halfway through, the door opened behind me. Monica Pierce walked in, phone in hand, talking loudly. I need you to lock his portal access while I am standing here. He is using it to harass the board. Carla looked up. Excuse me? Monica pointed at me. He submitted an appeal that is full of false statements, and I am requesting that his account be suspended until the investigation is complete. I turned around. You deleted my first appeal. Now I am resubmitting it, and you are trying to lock me out? Monica smiled. I did not delete anything. The portal must have glitched. But since you are accusing me of misconduct, I am going to recommend the board review your account privileges. Carla cleared her throat. I cannot suspend his access without board approval. Monica pulled out a handheld radio from her bag and clicked the button. This is Monica Pierce, board president to management. I need an immediate review of Unit 42 portal access. Over. No one responded. The radio crackled with static. Carla leaned back in her chair. Monica, I cannot lock his account. He has the right to file an appeal. Monica pointed at the radio. This is official HOA business. I am authorized to enforce this. A voice behind us said, This is unhinged. I turned. A middle-aged man in a polo shirt was standing near the door, holding a clipboard. He looked like a customer waiting for service. Monica glared at him. This does not concern you. The man shrugged. I have been standing here for 5 minutes. You are trying to lock someone out of the portal for filing an appeal. That is retaliation. Monica turned back to Carla. Are you going to do your job or not? Carla looked at me, then at Monica. I am uploading his evidence right now. His appeal will be processed. Monica leaned over the counter. You are making a mistake. Carla did not flinch. The board can review it at the next meeting. Monica stormed out, slamming the door behind her. The man with the clipboard walked up to the counter. I am Dave. Unit 61. I just wanted to say that was ridiculous. I shook his hand. Thanks for speaking up. Dave nodded. She has been pulling this stuff for months. Someone needs to call her out. Carla finished uploading my evidence and handed me a receipt. Your appeal is in the system. You will get a hearing date within 5 days. 2 days later, I got an email. The subject line read, "Appeal Review Hearing." I opened it. The hearing was scheduled for the following Tuesday at 6 p.m. at the clubhouse. The notice included a list of requirements. I needed to bring all original evidence, a signed statement, and a copy of the HOA bylaws with the relevant sections highlighted. I printed the email and started preparing. Greg stopped by that evening with a folder. I pulled the access logs. Monica checked out the storage keys 3 times in the past 2 weeks, once on the day the charity box was moved. I opened the folder. The logs were printed on plain white paper, no official header, just timestamps and initials. Monica's initials, MP, were circled in red. This proves she had access. Greg nodded. And I found something else. The clubhouse vendor, the cleaning company, refused to sign off on the last invoice. They said Monica tried to pressure them into filing a complaint against you. They told her no. Do you have that in writing? Greg pulled out his phone and showed me a screenshot of an email chain. The cleaning company had written, "We do not feel comfortable filing a complaint without evidence. Please do not contact us regarding this matter again." I took a screenshot of Greg's phone and added it to my evidence binder. Then I called my attorney, a real estate lawyer I had worked with during the home purchase. I explained the situation. She is retaliating against you for filing an appeal. That is a violation of your rights under the HOA bylaws. If she continues, you can file a complaint with the state. What about the theft accusation? Do you have proof you did not take anything? I have doorbell footage, photos, and witness statements. Good. Bring all of it to the hearing. If she cannot prove you took anything, the accusation falls apart. And if she tries to impose penalties anyway, we can fight it. I hung up and kept preparing. The day before the hearing, I got another email. The subject line read, "Hearing postponed." I opened it, my chest tightening. The hearing scheduled for Tuesday has been postponed due to a procedural issue. Your appeal is missing a required certification form. Please resubmit your appeal with the attached form and schedule a new hearing date. I opened the attachment. It was a form I had never seen before. The title read, "Appellant Certification of Compliance." I called Carla immediately. "What is this form?" It was not listed in the original requirements. Carla sighed. "Monica added it yesterday. She claims it has always been required, but I have never seen it before." So she invented a new requirement after I submitted my appeal? That is what it looks like. Can I still have the hearing on Tuesday? Not unless you submit the form first. Monica is claiming your appeal is invalid without it. I filled out the form, printed it, and drove back to the management office. Carla was not there. A younger woman named Sarah was behind the counter. "I need to submit this form for my appeal hearing." Sarah took the form and scanned it into the system. "Okay, you are all set. When is the hearing?" Sarah frowned. "It says here the hearing was postponed indefinitely. You will need to request a new date." I just submitted the form Monica required. She said the hearing would proceed once I did. Sarah scrolled through the system. I do not see any notes about that. "Let me call Monica." She picked up the office phone and dialed. No answer. She left a voicemail, then hung up. "I will follow up with her and email you." I drove home, barely keeping my temper in check. Monica was stalling, moving the goalposts every time I cleared one. My refinance deadline was 3 weeks away. If the HOA filed any kind of lien or violation notice, the bank would pull the loan. That evening, Greg called. "I just talked to the tow company Monica uses. She tried to order a tow on your car yesterday. Said you were parked in a guest spot without a permit." "I do not park in guest spots. I park in my assigned space." "I know. The tow driver refused the order. He said Monica did not have the right documentation, and he was not hooking a car without a signed authorization from management." If you are enjoying this story, hit that like button and subscribe for more HOA drama. Did he tell Monica that? Yep. She apparently lost it. Started yelling at him over the phone. I need to talk to that driver. Greg sent me the contact info. I called the tow company the next morning. The dispatcher put me through to the driver, a guy named Frank. Yeah, I remember that call. Lady called me at 7 in the morning, told me to hook a car in Redstone Meadows. I asked for the paperwork, and she said she would email it. Never got anything. I told her I was not touching the car without signed authorization. She started yelling, told me I worked for the HOA and I had to do what she said. I told her I work for the tow company, not the HOA, and I hung up. Can I get that in writing? Frank paused. Sure, I will send you an email summary. But you did not hear this from me. Frank sent the email that afternoon. I printed it and added it to my evidence binder. Then I checked the HOA portal one more time. A new notice had been posted under my account. Violation notice, unauthorized use of clubhouse facilities. I opened it. The notice claimed I had entered the clubhouse storage area without permission on the day the charity box was moved. It included a grainy screenshot from a security camera, but the angle made it impossible to tell who was in the frame. I called Greg. They are saying I was in the storage area. I was never in the storage area. Do you have footage proving where you were? I have my doorbell camera, but it does not cover the clubhouse. What about your phone location data? I pulled up my phone settings and checked the location history. On the day in question, I had been at work until 5:30, then driven straight home. My phone GPS showed the exact route. I screenshot the data and saved it. Then I noticed something. The security camera screenshot Monica had attached to the violation notice had a timestamp in the corner. It read 3047 p.m. I was at work at 3047. My phone location history proved it. I called my attorney again. She told me to file a rebuttal immediately and to request a copy of the full security footage, not just a screenshot. I submitted the rebuttal through the portal, attaching my phone location data and a written statement demanding the full footage. The next day, I got a response. The security footage was unavailable due to a system malfunction. The screenshot was the only record. I forwarded the email to my attorney. She replied within minutes, "This is obstruction. File a formal records request with the management company. If they refuse, we escalate to the state." I filed the request that afternoon. Carla called me an hour later. "I got your request. The footage exists. Monica told me not to release it. Can you release it anyway?" "Not without board approval. But I can tell you this. The person in the screenshot is not you." "How do you know?" "Because I watched the footage. It is Monica. She was the one in the storage area. I met Greg at a coffee shop that evening and laid out everything I had. The access log showing Monica had the storage keys, the tow company refusal email, my phone location data, and Carla's confirmation that Monica was in the storage area, not me. Greg leaned back in his chair. "You have enough to bury her. But you need to go public. If you wait for the HO to schedule a hearing, she will keep stalling. What do you suggest?" "There is a vendor meeting tomorrow at 10. The cleaning company and the landscaping company are both going to be there. Monica is supposed to present a contract renewal. Show up with your evidence and call her out in front of everyone." "Will they let me in?" "It is a public HOA vendor meeting. You are a resident. You have the right to attend." The next morning I drove to the clubhouse. The vendor meeting was in the main room and about a dozen people were sitting around a folding table. Monica was at the head of the table, holding a folder and talking to a man in a polo shirt from the cleaning company. I walked in and took a seat near the back. Monica looked up, and her face went pale. Then she smiled. "This is a closed vendor meeting. Residents are not allowed." Greg stood up from his seat near the front. "Actually, the bylaws say vendor meetings are open to residents." Section 12, Paragraph 4. Monica waved her laminated policy sheet. That section was amended last year. Greg pulled out his phone. "No, it was not. I have the current bylaws right here." Monica slammed the folder on the table. "Fine. He can stay. But if he disrupts the meeting, I will have him removed." I raised my hand. "I am not here to disrupt. I am here to ask a question." Monica crossed her arms. "Make it quick." I stood up and held out the evidence binder. You accused me of stealing from the charity box and entering the storage area without permission. But the security footage shows you were the one in the storage area. And the access logs show you checked out the storage keys 3 times in the past 2 weeks, including the day the charity box was moved. Monica's face turned red. That is a lie. I pulled out the thumb drive and held it between 2 fingers. I have the logs right here. And I have an email from the tow company saying you tried to have my car towed without authorization. And I have phone location data proving I was at work when you claimed I was in the storage area. Monica stood up. You are harassing me. Greg stood up. No, he is not. He is presenting evidence. And I think everyone here deserves to see it. The cleaning company rep leaned forward. Wait, you tried to have his car towed? Monica pointed at me. He is a thief. The cleaning company rep shook his head. We told you we were not filing a complaint. You do not have proof. Monica grabbed her phone and held it up. I have messages proving everyone agrees with me. A woman near the front of the table, a resident I did not recognize, said, "Can I see those messages?" Monica waved the phone around, but did not show the screen. The woman stood up. I am a management office customer, and this is unhinged. You are accusing someone of theft without proof, trying to tow his car, and now you are claiming you have evidence, but refusing to show it. Monica pointed at the door. Get out. The woman crossed her arms. No. The cleaning company rep stood up. I think we are done here. We are not renewing the contract until this is resolved. Monica's face went white. You cannot do that. Yes, we can. We are not working with an HOA that retaliates against residents. The landscaping company rep nodded. Same here. Monica slammed her folder on the table and stormed toward the door. As she passed me, she hissed, "You are going to regret this." I followed her outside. Greg and the woman from the management office followed me. Monica was standing near the parking lot, phone in hand. She looked up and saw us. Then she pulled out her handheld radio and clicked the button. This is Monica Pierce, board president. I need a tow truck at the clubhouse immediately. Unit 42 vehicle, license plate visible in guest parking. I pulled out my phone and started recording. I am parked in my assigned space. Not guest parking. Monica clicked the radio again. Disregard. I need law enforcement for trespassing. Greg stepped forward. You cannot call the police on someone for attending a public meeting. Monica ignored him and kept talking into the radio. I am on scene at the clubhouse. I need backup for a hostile resident. No one responded. A few minutes later, a sheriff's deputy pulled into the parking lot. He got out of his car and walked toward us. Monica immediately rushed over, waving her laminated policy sheet. Officer, this man is trespassing and harassing the HOA board. I need him removed. The deputy looked at me. What is going on here? I handed him my evidence binder. I am a resident of Redstone Meadows. I attended a public vendor meeting to present evidence that she falsely accused me of theft and tried to have my car towed without authorization. She is now claiming I am trespassing. The deputy flipped through the binder, then looked at Monica. Do you have proof he stole anything? Monica waved her phone. I have messages proving it. Can I see them? Monica pulled the phone back. They are private. The deputy closed the binder and handed it back to me. If you do not have proof, you cannot accuse him of theft. And if he is a resident, he is not trespassing. Ma'am, you need to step back. Monica pointed at me. He is harassing me. The deputy held up his hand. I am going to write an incident number. Both of you can file reports if you want. But right now, you need to separate and go home. Monica opened her mouth to argue, but the deputy cut her off by pulling out his notebook and writing. After a moment, he tore off a page and handed it to me. Here is your incident number. If you want to file a report, call the office. Monica tried to talk over me, but the deputy stepped between us. Ma'am, I said, step back. Monica's face turned red. She spun around and marched to her car, slamming the door behind her. The deputy looked at Greg and the woman from the management office. You two witnessed this? Greg nodded. All of it. The deputy made a note. Good. If he needs statements, you can provide them. The deputy got back in his car and drove off. I stood there, holding the incident number and the evidence binder, my hands shaking. Greg clapped me on the shoulder. You just ended her career. The woman from the management office, who introduced herself as Linda, said, I am going to call the board's secretary tonight. This needs to go on record. That evening, I got 2 emails. The first was from Carla. The board has scheduled an emergency meeting to review Monica's conduct. You are invited to attend and present your evidence. The second email was from the HOA attorney. Your appeal has been approved. All penalties and access restrictions are lifted effective immediately. The board apologizes for the delay. I forwarded both emails to my attorney. She called me 5 minutes later. This is a complete reversal. They know they are exposed. If you want to push further, we can file a formal complaint for retaliation and harassment. I thought about it. Part of me wanted to go after Monica with everything I had. But the refinance was still pending, and I needed the HOA drama to end. Let me see what happens at the emergency meeting first. Fair enough. But document everything. If she tries anything else, we escalate. The emergency meeting was held 3 days later at the clubhouse. The room was packed. Residents I had never seen before filled every seat, and a few people stood in the back. The board secretary, a quiet man named Tom, sat at the front table with 2 other board members. Monica was not there. Tom opened the meeting. We are here to review allegations of misconduct by Board President Monica Pierce. The floor is open for statements. I stood up and walked to the front. I presented my evidence, the access logs, the tow refusal email, my phone location data, the cleaning company email, and the deputy's incident number. I explained how Monica had deleted my first appeal, invented a fake form requirement, tried to tow my car, and falsely accused me of theft. When I finished, the room was silent. Greg stood up. I have additional evidence. Monica has been using a key control clipboard to check out storage keys without logging them properly. I pulled the official logs, and they show discrepancies. Items have been going missing for months, and the only person with consistent access is Monica. Tom leaned forward. Do you have those logs? Greg handed him a folder. Tom reviewed the logs, then passed them to the other board members. One of the board members, a woman named Susan, said, This is enough to warrant an investigation. I move that we suspend Monica Pierce from all board duties pending a full audit. The other board member, a man named Ed, said, I second. Tom nodded. All in favor? All 3 board members raised their hands. Tom looked at me. Your access restrictions are officially lifted. All penalties are vacated. And on behalf of the board, I apologize for the way this was handled. The room erupted in applause. I nodded at Tom and walked back to my seat. Linda, the management office customer who had spoken up at the vendor meeting, stood up. I want to add something. I have been a resident here for 10 years, and I have seen Monica abuse her position over and over. She weaponizes the rules, pressures vendors, and harasses residents who disagree with her. This needs to stop. Several people in the room nodded. Tom said, We are conducting a full review of all board procedures. If anyone has additional complaints, please submit them in writing. After the meeting, Greg and I walked to the parking lot. He looked exhausted but relieved. You did it. You cleared your name and took her down. I shook my head. She took herself down. I just made sure everyone saw it. Over the next 2 weeks, the fallout spread. The HOA hired an independent auditor to review the storage access logs and the clubhouse financial records. The auditor found evidence that Monica had been taking cash from the charity box, petty cash from the office, and supplies from the storage area. She had also been filing false violation notices against residents she did not like, then pressuring vendors to back her up. The board voted to terminate Monica's position and ban her from holding any HOA office in the future. They also terminated the vendor relationships she had abused, including the tow company that had refused her orders. I got a formal letter from the board secretary. It read, The Redstone Meadows Homeowners Association acknowledges the wrongful accusations made against you and apologizes for the harm caused. All records related to the accusations have been expunged. You are entitled to full use of all HOA facilities and services without restriction. I framed the letter and hung it in my home office. The best moment came 2 days later. I was walking past the clubhouse when I saw Monica loading boxes into her car. She was moving out. She looked up and saw me, and for a second, we just stared at each other. Then she slammed her trunk and got in her car. As she drove past me, I saw her face twisted in rage. Greg called me that night. Did you hear? Monica tried to call a board meeting this morning. She wanted to contest the termination. When she showed up, security told her she was not allowed on HOA property. She stormed out and threatened to sue. The board told her to go ahead. They have a documented appeal that overturns the decision on the record, and they are ready to fight. I laughed. Good. The HOA held a special meeting a week later to present the audit findings to the residents. The auditor stood at the front of the room and walked through the evidence: missing cash, stolen supplies, falsified logs, and abusive vendor tactics. Monica had cost the HOA thousands of dollars and damaged multiple professional relationships. The board announced new policies. All board members would be subject to annual audits, vendor contracts would require multi-party approval, and residents would have direct access to financial records through the portal. The room applauded. Linda stood up and said, "I want to thank the narrator for standing up to this. A lot of residents were too scared to fight back. You showed us it was possible." I nodded. Thanks. But I could not have done it without Greg and everyone else who spoke up. Greg raised his hand. I moved that we nominate the narrator for the board. I held up my hand. No, thank you. I am good. The room laughed. I went home that night and opened my laptop. The refinance had gone through without any issues. The bank had never even seen the HOA drama because the violations had been expunged before the underwriter reviewed the file. I poured a drink and sat on my porch, looking out at the quiet subdivision. Redstone Meadows looked peaceful now, but I knew the fight was not over. HOAs were breeding grounds for petty tyrants, and Monica Pierce was just one of many. But at least here, in this neighborhood, the residents had taken back control. My phone buzzed. It was a text from Greg board meeting next week. They are voting on the new vendor contracts. You should come. I replied, I will be there. I leaned back in my chair and closed my eyes. For the first time in weeks, I felt like I could breathe. The next morning, I checked the HOA portal one last time. My account was clean. No violations, no restrictions, no threats. Just a simple status line. Account in good standing. I logged out and closed my laptop. A week later, I was walking past the mailbox cluster when I saw a new sign posted near the clubhouse entrance. It read, New HOA Board Policies Transparency, Accountability, Resident Rights. Below it was a short summary of the new audit and vendor approval rules. I smiled and kept walking. That afternoon, I got a call from the HOA attorney. He introduced himself and said, I wanted to follow up on your case. The board has agreed to reimburse you for any legal fees or expenses you incurred during the dispute. Please send me an itemized list, and we will process it within 30 days. I thanked him and hung up. I did not need the money, but it felt good to know the HOA was taking responsibility. A few days later, I ran into Linda at the coffee shop near the neighborhood entrance. She waved me over. I just heard. Monica tried to get her job back. She filed an appeal with the state HOA board. They rejected it. I raised my eyebrows. Really? Linda nodded. The state said the HOA had clear grounds for termination, and the audit findings were more than enough to support the decision. She is done. I sipped my coffee. Good. Linda leaned forward. I also heard she is trying to sell her house. Word is, no one in the neighborhood will talk to her. She is completely isolated. I did not feel sorry for her. She had built her reign of terror, one stolen dollar and one fake violation at a time. Now, she was facing the consequences. That evening, I got a text from Greg. Monica is gone. House sold. Closed last week. She is out of Redstone Meadows for good. I replied, best news I have heard all month. Greg texted back, "Drinks on me this weekend. We are celebrating." I smiled and put my phone down. The story should have ended there. But a few days later, I got one more email from the board secretary. It was short. The board has completed its review of all vendor contracts. We discovered that Monica had been receiving kickbacks from the tow company in exchange for prioritizing their services. The HOA has filed a complaint with the state attorney general. Thought you should know. I forwarded the email to my attorney. She replied, "This is criminal fraud. The state will investigate, and Monica could face charges. You did the right thing by documenting everything." I leaned back in my chair and exhaled. It was finally over. A month later, I was sitting on my porch when a sheriff's deputy pulled up to Monica's old house. He knocked on the door, but no one answered. He left a notice taped to the front door and drove off. I did not know what the notice said, but I could guess. That weekend, Greg and I went out for drinks. We sat at a bar near the water, watching the Seattle skyline light up as the sun set. Greg raised his glass. To taking down tyrants, I clinked my glass against his. To surviving the HOA. We laughed and drank, and for the first time in months, I felt like I could finally move on. The next week, I attended the vendor meeting where the board approved the new contracts. The cleaning company and the landscaping company both signed, and the board announced they were bringing in a new property management firm to handle day-to-day operations. Carla was promoted to senior manager, and Sarah was given a permanent position. At the end of the meeting, Tom stood up and said, "I want to thank everyone who stood up during the Monica Pierce situation. This neighborhood is stronger because of you." The room applauded, and I felt a sense of pride I had not expected. As I walked out of the clubhouse, I saw a new resident moving into Monica's old house. A young couple with a dog. They waved at me, and I waved back. Redstone Meadows had a fresh start, and so did I. A few weeks later, I got a letter in the mail. It was from the state attorney general's office. The letter confirmed that Monica Pierce was under investigation for fraud and embezzlement related to her role as HOA board president. The investigation was ongoing, and I might be contacted for additional information. I filed the letter in my evidence binder and put it on the shelf. I never heard from Monica again. According to Greg, she had moved out of state and was keeping a low profile. The HOA had moved on, and so had the residents. I kept my evidence binder, though, just in case. One evening, I was sitting on my porch when Linda stopped by. She handed me a small package. "Open it," she said. Inside was a framed photo of the moment at the vendor meeting when I had held up the thumb drive and confronted Monica. Someone had captured it on their phone. Below the photo was a small plaque that read, "For standing up when it mattered." I looked at Linda, and she smiled. We all chipped in. We wanted to say thank you. I did not know what to say. I just nodded and put the frame on my mantle. That night, I sat down and wrote an email to the board secretary. I thanked him for handling the situation professionally and for implementing the new policies. I also suggested that the board create a whistleblower protection policy so residents could report abuse without fear of retaliation. Tom replied the next day, "Great idea. I will bring it up at the next meeting." A month later, the board passed the whistleblower policy. It included protections for residents who reported misconduct, mandatory audits for all board members, and a public comment period at every board meeting. Redstone Meadows was not perfect, but it was better. And that was enough. I finished my refinance, locked in a great rate, and moved on with my life. The HOA drama faded into the background, replaced by normal neighborhood life, potlucks, community watch meetings, and the occasional parking dispute. Greg and I stayed friends. We met for coffee once a week and talked about everything except the HOA. It was nice to have something normal again. One Saturday afternoon, I was working in my front yard when a car pulled up. A woman got out and walked over. She introduced herself as a reporter for a local news station. "I heard about what happened with your HOA board president. I am doing a story on HOA abuse in the Seattle area. Would you be willing to talk?" I thought about it for a moment. Then I said, "Sure. But I want to make one thing clear. This is not about me. It is about holding people accountable when they abuse power." The reporter nodded and pulled out a notebook. We talked for an hour. I walked her through the timeline, the evidence, the confrontations, and the resolution. She took notes and asked follow-up questions. At the end, she said, "This is a great story. People need to hear it." The story aired 2 weeks later. It was a 5-minute segment on the evening news. They interviewed me, Greg, and Linda. They also showed footage of the clubhouse and the board meeting where Monica was terminated. The response was overwhelming. I got emails from residents in other HOAs who were dealing with similar issues. Some asked for advice, others just wanted to share their stories. I replied to as many as I could. I told them to document everything, find allies, and never back down. A few months later, I got a call from a state legislator. She had seen the news story and wanted to discuss HOA reform legislation. We talked for an hour about transparency, accountability, and resident rights. She introduced a bill the following session. It passed with bipartisan support. The new law required HOAs to conduct annual audits, provide residents with access to financial records, and create whistleblower protections. I did not take credit for it, but I was proud to have played a small part. Redstone Meadows continued to improve. The new board was professional, transparent, and responsive. Residents felt heard. Vendors felt respected. The neighborhood thrived. I stayed active in the community watch group. Greg and I co-chaired it, and we focused on building relationships instead of enforcing rules. One evening, I was sitting on my porch when I saw the young couple from Monica's old house walking their dog. They stopped and waved. "How is the neighborhood treating you?" I asked. The woman smiled. "It is great. Everyone has been so welcoming." I nodded. "Good. That is how it should be." They walked on, and I leaned back in my chair. Redstone Meadows was not perfect. No neighborhood was. But it was home, and it was worth fighting for. Thanks for watching, and I appreciate you being here.